Hey guys, this is Andy McCann here with the CrossFit Garage podcast, which I am still looking for a name that makes sense. I did put some information into Chat GPT. What does it stand for? It's like generated procedural text. So it's not exactly AI, it's just predictive text or things that should come next. So I said, hey, look at my website, look at the YouTube channel, look at the podcast, and you tell me what words pop out. And it actually found really good words. And the funny part was, it found a couple words that were all F's, which if you've been listening, one of my favorite things is to just say, hey, this is the 3 F's or the 4 F's or the 5 F's or whatever, and then just make up F's or put F in front of the word of whatever. Like at the gym, the 3 F's for coaching are fun, fitness, and for coaching. So, and when I went racing with Evie for the adventure race, it was, what was it? For safety, that was number 1, and then fun, which actually has an F, and then finish, so we wanted to finish the race, and then for checkpoints, so the 4 F's. Anyway, so it came up with a good one since I am all over the place, and this is maybe the first one that I've done that's kind of out there. I think I did one on entrepreneurialism in general, but this one we're going to be covering Bitcoin, the Lightning Network, and Nostr. And some of you are thinking, what is that? Yeah, this will be an education for some of you, an interesting education. I'm not going to go too deep into any of them. I'm just going to give you a broad stroke of what they are and why you should care. I want to help people build resilience into their life in multiple ways. So because there's so many items that I want to cover, it's hard to kind of find a name or a word that kind of fits it all. I would probably say just resilience, or maybe rooted, like build a strong foundation. But anyway, this was what ChatGPT came up with for me. Let me see if I can find it. Farm, fitness, finances, building a strong foundation for life. I'm like, yeah, I kind of like that. And then it put together for me all my words and stuff and said it better. I had written up a motto or mission statement or whatever. And of course, I'm horrible with words, and dyslexia plagues me. So wordsmithing is not my thing. Creativity, sure, but making it sound good is not. So it came up with my stuff and put it together and said, we believe in building a strong foundation for life through farm fresh nutrition, which is true. I have chickens and ducks, and I do talk about that. I don't garden very much, but anyway, I have chickens and ducks. Functional fitness, yes, I want you to be fit. I mean, hey, CrossFit's a great way, but also nutrition and other stuff. And sound fiscal practices. While I may not actually give you, like Aaron Vincent owns a financial group, and he will give you like long-term strategies. I'm going to give you broad strokes like get out of debt, get in some Bitcoin, possibly buy some gold and silver, pay off your debts. I mean, pretty basic stuff, but it's still what it does is it builds a strong foundation. Anyway, join us in creating a healthy and resilient future. So I like their statement. I'm going to mold that around and maybe, use it. Maybe the logo, the graphics and all that'll change, but I'd like all this to have the ability to help you guys live a good life when times are bad, or even if they're not, right? So that's stolen tagline from the Survival Podcast, Jack Spirko. I love his stuff. I've been listening to him for years, maybe 15 years. Anyway, so we are going to cover some interesting things. It's Bitcoin, the Lightning Network, and Nostr. What is it? Essentially, the idea is getting away from centralized control. So an example with this health and fitness could be you could just go to the doctor, and the doctor knows the things, and the doctor tells you what you should do or not do. You should take some medicine, not take some medicine. You should work out, right? So they are the control of the knowledge. Now, of course, the internet kind of takes that control away, and you can kind of research your own stuff and figure out maybe like, what is that, WebMD, which mostly if you go to WebMD, you're just going to find out that you think you're sick in way more ways than you really are. So, or you could start doing stuff for yourself and empower yourself with your own fitness, like doing functional fitness, right? CrossFit isn't rocket science. It's basically emulating real life, except for most of us in our real life sit. So if your real life was a long time ago where you were out in the, fields throwing rocks or building walls or herding sheep or gardening, this is going to basically simulate your general physical capabilities. So I'm going to tie in some similarities into what we're doing there, but to me, it all makes sense. This is my life. This is what I do. I don't know if there's a single word I can put on there, except that I would like to help or for my own life and help others live that good life, a resilient life, a anti-fragile life, a recession-proof life, while creating opportunities to hit the ball out of the park. Actually, I don't like the analogy of baseball, because when you hit the ball out of the park, the best you can do is get 4 runs. But when you do things on your own, entrepreneurial wise, you can have 10x or 100x, right? So anyway, there are some episodes coming up that will cover becoming a landlord, how to get into the rental market. So my buddy Glenn and I kind of go through that while we are headed up to Blood Mountain for a hike. And then I've got another one coming up with Chris Lopiccolo, so that'll be slid in there. And he talks a little bit about his journey through weight loss and being bullied and finding CrossFit. It's a pretty fascinating story. And of course, his goal to own houses and then get into that market as well as his business that he runs with his dad. So it's pretty cool. We have a lot of entrepreneurs here at the garage. If you guys are local to Woodstock, or, well, how about this? If you guys are listening to this, which there's about 200 people now that are downloading the audio, and not as many on YouTube, but I think, this is better on audio. So I'm doing this on audio, and right now this is also going to be posted on YouTube. You can get a visual representation of what we're talking about, but I should describe everything enough that you don't have to watch it. I like podcasts, and hopefully you guys do too. You can do them while you're driving or doing chores or whatever. So this will be to help spur your curiosity into these technologies that you probably have heard of and maybe know nothing about. And probably with Nostr, you have no clue what that is. And it's going to be interesting and surprising to you, and I think you're going to enjoy it. The other thing is, if you're local, I totally am into helping you. That is super easy. You're here in Woodstock, Georgia. Yeah, just call me or whatever. We can get together, go to a Black Rifle Coffee, one of my favorite places, or meet at, if you're a member at the gym, then yeah, we just meet at the gym or talk, whatever. But I'm happy to help you guys get an understanding in this stuff and anything else. If you're outside of my area, then it's a little bit harder logistically, but hey, I'm only a phone call away, happy to help. The group is still small enough that I can offer to help people individually. Maybe in a year when this is going on, if somebody listens to this podcast, so what is it now? It's May 14th, 2023. So if you're listening to this in the year 2024, I may not have the ability to help every single person listening. Hopefully we've done this long enough and are helping enough people that, we have a large group of us trying to gain that freedom. Okay, so if you need me, call me, text me, email me, totally cool. If you want real help, I'm gonna get to the end. I'm gonna introduce you to Jesse, your crypto consultant, who I have used to get myself sprungboarded, I don't know, into the Lightning Network. Okay, so here we go. I am clicking on. I'm gonna tell you what tabs I'm clicking on, so you can visualize it in your head, but. We have a YouTube channel, so if you're watching this, obviously you're watching it on the YouTube channel. If you're listening, just so you know, we have a YouTube channel, and you can go there and find some interesting stuff. I post on a lot of different things. YouTube is obviously more visually stimulating, so I typically throw things in there that are visually stimulating and not, an audio production, because that's just boring. So they do have podcasts on YouTube, but it's kind of weird, so I haven't used that yet. Anyway, so we cover some things like solar power, the Lightning Network, summer strength for students, rental properties, just play, fun stuff. Like I'll show you a video of Evie and I dancing. Some other fun things that we do to express our fitness, adventure racing, the farm dog, Ollie, who is growing into a huge beast, how to incubate chicken eggs, chess with Levi, Bitcoin, ducks, chickens, our farm, becoming an entrepreneur, things, lessons and so forth, health, homesteading, CrossFit Garage, obviously, and soccer, and some other favorite things. But YouTube channel is kind of all over the map, but if you really boil it down, it is helping you have a good life and be in a resilient life while smiling and having fun. So the motto at the gym is we are happy, humble, helpful people who want to be healthy and fit now as well as in our 90s. So, that's just me, happy, humble, helpful. If the glass, is always half full, because if it's not, then that's just a sad life. All right, so if you are watching this and you're thinking, I might want to listen to something, I do use Buzzsprout. HealthSprout is a buddy's chiropractic business, and Buzzsprout is our podcasting tool. This is going to become an important idea later on, but you go to Buzzsprout or click on any of your links. You can find us on all the normal podcast channels. So what these guys do is they just collect your RSS feed, so your audio feed that Buzzsprout publishes, and then they drop it into their platform. That's an important thing to remember because it's going to come up in a little bit. So join us there. I took a snapshot, and we've got people listening all over the world, which is awesome. So we've got people out, obviously the vast majority is North America, Europe, Asia, South America, and Oceania, which I love that. Oceania, that's a cool word. And nobody in Africa, but I don't know anyone in Africa. Well, that's not true. I do know some South Africans. But anyway, it's pretty cool to see, who's listening, and just that people are being helped. So if you would like to talk about something, come on the podcast, talk about your fitness journey, your journey into rental properties, Bitcoin, or whatever, how you basically have created freedom or a strong foundation in life with nutrition, farming, fitness, and finances. I would love to talk to you. If you have questions, email me. The easiest one is probably andy@crossfitgarage.com. Happy to cover those. All right, so obviously you guys do know that I own CrossFit Garage, where our idea there is to, like I just said, help you gain your fitness and surround you with people, become the hero of your own story and surround you with people that are happy, humble, and helpful. And you can simply just go to our website, crossfitgarage.com, click on the No Sweat Intro or the Get Started page, and you will see how to get there. There's also links to the podcast and the YouTube channel. If you've got friends or family that are out there that need help, just send this to them. And if they find, hey, that's kind of interesting, and they need to talk, I am happy to talk to them. I want to help people. All right. Next thing, we are going to get into Bitcoin. What is it and why should you care? So Bitcoin is unique. It was started, let me start with this. Right now, one Bitcoin is worth $26,860.86, or at least somebody will sell it for that. So it's kind of like the price of gold. What is it worth? Actually, they're all pretty worthless. Silver is a more utilitarian metal than gold, yet gold has always been more precious. It's harder to get out of the ground, but find. So there's less of it. It's more scarce. But utility is not there. Anyway, people value it and they will buy it. The price of gold fluctuates just like the price of Bitcoin. Over time, you're going to see this stabilize. So right now we're looking at a 1 month chart. Right now it has dropped a bit because it had a spike with all the bank closures. If you look at 1 year, it's pretty much neutral from year to year. If you look at all, you're going to see a massive spike back in like the 2021 through or 2020-ish through 2022. And what was happening then was a bunch of cryptos, well, actually, let me back up. Back in 2018, a bunch of cryptos started popping up saying, hey, this is kind of neat. Let us create fake money and see if we can win. It's just a big Ponzi scheme. Bitcoin is not like that at all. And then you had people worried about what's going on in the 2020s through 2022 world, and they were trying to find a place to put their money that was a bit safer. And anyway, so it still has gone up over time. It is a bit erratic or volatile at the origin, just like everything, but you'll see it playing out. Okay, so why would you care? Why do we want to get into Bitcoin? It is a store of value. You can put it there and it's going to go up into the right, just like any other good that you're storing value. The difference is you can actually still use it as money or currency, and I'm going to go through a couple things. So one of them is it was created by a guy named Satoshi Nakamoto. And it's a fake name. It's a surname, or not a surname, a pseudonym. And he wrote a white paper in 2008 and said, here is what I think we need to do. If we can free the money, we can free the world. Here is my algorithm. You can look up the white paper and see it all. It's an open source, so everyone can read it and go, okay, that's what it does. Then what happens is somebody says, hey, I want to run a Bitcoin node or mine Bitcoin and get involved in that. So they can take the code, they can download it, they can put it on a Raspberry Pi or a computer. I use a Start9 Embassy Pro server, and I'm going to show you that at the end. And you can be part of the Bitcoin network. What does that do for you? Absolutely nothing. You're just becoming the guy who has an Excel spreadsheet that validates all the transactions. If you want to earn money out of Bitcoin, then you'd either want to mine it or get into the Lightning Network. You can be a router of payments, basically becoming your own Venmo or Venmo Step, if you will. The reason people like Bitcoin is it's beholden to nobody. So he released a virus, and you basically willingly put this virus or computer program on a computer known as a server, and it does very few things. And one of the things it does is serve that function of becoming a Bitcoin node, or it has the table of what happened, and it compares to everybody else, and it gives it the agreement. So Bitcoin can never be turned off. You would have to EMP the entire world at the same time, or turn off the power everywhere at the same time, because there are, actually, let me see if I have that graph up. There are Bitcoin nodes everywhere. Actually, that'll come up in a second. I'll show you the nodes, but they're everywhere, so it's unstoppable. It is a virus that's been loosed, and nobody can stop it. The one problem with Bitcoin is nothing backs it, but that's actually an asset. Since nothing backs it, nothing can stop it. So it's not backed by government, it's not backed by anything. The whole thing that it's backed by is the voluntary use of it. So if you don't want to use it, don't use it. If you do, then it has value, especially to the people already using it. So it's a mutual consensual relationship that people decide to use. Conversely, we're going to get into this a little bit, fiat currency, the government says you have to take it, which I find kind of funny. It's backed by itself and it's produced by itself, and they can print whatever they want. Fiat, meaning the government just says it's good because we said it's good. So our money's not backed by gold or petrol or anything anymore. And funny thing is, I went with Levi to pay a speeding ticket, and at the government building in Cherokee, they had a sign up that says, "We don't accept cash." Except on cash, it says this must be accepted for all debts. So I just found it funny that they didn't accept their own money, but it was for different reasons. I'm sure they have sticky fingers, so they're trying to avoid that. Anyway, okay, so a Satoshi is a division of a Bitcoin. So you have one whole Bitcoin. You'd have to have at the moment, like whatever I said, $30,000 to buy a Bitcoin. Most people don't have that laying around, so they're like, hey, I'm going to buy a Bitcoin, but really I'm going to buy Satoshis. So a Satoshi is 100 million divisions. So there's 100 million Satoshis in one Bitcoin. So if you're looking at the screen right here, I've got pulled up 50 Satoshis is equal to 0.0134 pennies. So it's not even really worth a penny. So if you wanted to tip somebody 500 Satoshis, you're tipping them 13 cents. So Satoshi gives you ability to do something like a micropayment, and that's going to come up later on. So remember, micropayment, I want to tip somebody, just something cool. I liked what you did. Here's a little bit of love. So if I were to send you over the current system, like using a credit card or something, 13 cents, it probably costs $1.50 to send 13 cents. And you're thinking, wait, how does that possible? Yeah, vendors or merchants like me usually pay the fees that everybody uses on credit cards. And I hate that, and it costs me a lot of money. We'll get into that too. So a Satoshi is 100 million Satoshis is one Bitcoin. So if I want to tip somebody 50 Satoshis, it's 1 penny. You're like, well, is it worth it? Well, I don't know. Let's say you have a TikTok video or other video that goes viral. So there's 1 million people watching it, and 1 million people want to give you 1 penny. Well, I mean, that ain't bad, right? So this 1 penny to them is no big deal, but let's see, 1 million, let's say, to make this math easier on me, if you move the decimal, let's say 100 million people watched the video and they all gave you 1 penny, then you just made $1 million, right? In Satoshis or Bitcoin. Okay, so let's go, what is this? Okay, so there's a thing called Bitcoin Beach. So in El Salvador, they created a area that promotes the use of Bitcoin. So actually, you know what? I should pull this up. I'm going to pause the video and find this. Okay, so Bitcoin Beach is an important concept. Let me go back to that real quick. It was started a while ago as a concept. Hey, look, let's bring Bitcoiners down here and show them they can spend Bitcoin, and it's a valid use of currency. And I just pulled up a web page that is talking about all the countries where Bitcoin is adopted or is being considered, right? So El Salvador has adopted it as their tender, so they're no longer like backing it on their own dollar. They're using Bitcoin now totally. So Paraguay, the first Latin American country outside of El Salvador. So this is expressing interest. Let's see, Panama, Brazil, Mexico, Argentina. So interesting, just like a third world country, they don't take the steps that we took to become industrialized. So what I mean by that is they don't run telephone wire all over the place to connect folks with telephone service. What they do instead is they pop up cell towers, and yeah, they'll run power to it or have some immense solar generation or whatever, and then that cell tower will serve everyone's cell service. So everyone gets service via cell phones, and they just skip right over the fact that nobody has phone lines anywhere. Of course, that does impede some things like having high-speed gaming-worthy internet, but whatever. All right, a little coffee break there. So what else was I going to show you there? Here's some other countries that are looking to accept a bit. Oh, it's not going to actually show me. Okay, so countries are using it. So the U.S. dollar used to be the currency of reserve, and that's, of course, moving away. If you listen to the news right now, other countries are trying to do that. They just gave us a false sense of security and elevated our money. And so they're moving away from that, creating their own. And some countries are saying, screw all that. I don't want to go with China and Russia and all that. I'm going to use Bitcoin. So it's fascinating. Countries are moving away from their own fiat currency and saying, we can't do it. It just keeps messing up, and we keep blowing our inflation and whatever up like we're doing right now. And they have moved to Bitcoin. So anyway, Bitcoin Beach is pretty cool. I am trying to come up with a concept of bringing Bitcoin Beach to Woodstock, Georgia. So I talked to a couple of my friends that are business owners in Woodstock, and went up to them and said, hey, free the money, free the world? And they're like, no. I'm like, it's really cool. People would want to come here and spend money because it's just neat. And they're like, maybe. And I said, hey, it'll lower your credit card processing fees by 99%. And they're like, oh man, I am in. So we're going to get into credit card processing fees. Merchants and vendors pay those. You typically don't unless they throw up there like, hey, you're going to pay this, or hey, there's a discount for cash. What they're saying is we get charged. So like CrossFit Garage, we get charged to use a credit card. Do I care about using credit cards? No, it's just easy and convenient, and it posts or whatever. But we get charged a lot, and it stinks. So I'm trying to bring that to us here in Woodstock, Georgia. If you're in Woodstock, Georgia, and you have a business or you're just interested, let me know. I have made very slow progress, but at least the first few steps have been taken. And I'm working with a fellow, Jesse, and I'll show you him later on. And he is coming up with a how to get businesses to move to taking Bitcoin in an easy fashion. It is pretty easy. You can do it. Actually, let me pull it up on our website. Okay, so if you go to our About page, it talks about us. Has our podcast link, our YouTube channel link, and then it says pay in Bitcoin. So what it's going to do is pull up my Albi extension, and you can pay me at andymccann@getalbi.com. So Albi is an extension. It just drops into your browser, and of course you have to connect it to some various things, but it's almost as seamless as a Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, or whatever, and you can pay in Bitcoin. So it's not one-to-one, so a $200 payment in US dollars is not 200 Bitcoin. That's insane. Don't do that. And it's not 200 Satoshis. That's way too small. As I showed you earlier, so what is 200 Satoshis? I can go back to that and show you. So if I pay 200 Satoshis, I think it's like less than a penny. Yeah, so it's 5 pennies, so 5 cents. So that is not what you would pay in, let's see, $200. Does it convert? Let's go the other way. $200 is about 746,000 Satoshis. So it sounds big, but it's just so they could denominate and make micropayments. Okay, so Satoshi Nakamoto doesn't exist, and he created Bitcoin, and he has a ton of early mined Bitcoin that is sitting there. Nobody has touched it. So it's fascinating. Probably the best thing this guy ever did after inventing it, or maybe even before, is to walk away and let it do its own thing, to release it into the wild. I already showed you that Bitcoin right now is $26,000. Okay, so why Bitcoin? Why would you use it? What does it even matter? There is something out there that they've put together, the 10 characteristics of money. Money must be a medium of exchange. People just have to we'll use it. Okay, so the US dollar and Bitcoin both do that. It's a store of value. So this is a weird one. So the US dollar actually deflates over time because of inflation. So if you were to actually just hold your cash, it would be worth less in 10 years. You need to actually do something. So as a store of value, it's not that great. Bitcoin is still kind of in the volatile stages compared to the US dollar, but I think you're going to see over time it's going to become very consistent. So they do like gold. Gold, usually they mine about 3% more, put 3% more into the gold system. Bitcoin follows that similar process, so they put about 3% more that you can mine. And I'm not going to get into the mining. Just it's not exactly what you think. I mean, they obviously aren't digging anything. They're solving equations and helping the blockchain move. But whatever that is, right? They are doing the work behind getting Bitcoin moving. And then there's the other side of it, like me, is a node, which just keeps the records. So a unit of account, yeah. So both the US dollar and Bitcoin have an account, so it's registered somewhere, right? It's legal tender, people can accept it. Yeah, so payments, liquidity, so it's, let's see, it's, well, the US dollar is much more liquid. You can almost spend it anywhere in the world. Everyone will accept it. Bitcoin isn't yet, but it's getting there. Stable value, so both of those are kind of iffy at the moment. So it's interchangeable between currencies. Yeah, you can do that. Portable, this is a crazy one. So the reason gold lost out, one of the reasons gold lost out to coins, well, there's a whole lot of reasons to it, but one of the reasons is when they would transport gold back on a ship across the ocean, they're like, oh no, the ship sunk. And what does gold do in water? Man, it sinks super fast because it is really heavy. If you watch a movie where they're taking a gold bar and they're just like tossing it around, that is not true. You can barely lift those things. They are so dense. It's like a middle school sports kid, just super dense. Sorry, that's just a joke. Anyway, so portability is really bad for gold. A piece of paper that denotes the currency. So originally the US dollar was backed by gold, and many currencies were, almost none are. And it's much easier to transport the paper saying, hey, this gold belongs to you. Here's a paper that says so, right? So there's something called a bearer bond, which is just a piece of paper. It says whoever bears this bond has this money. That's similar. If you remember one of the diehards, it was all about bearer bonds. Easy to move. Okay. Confidence, that's a risky one right there. People just have to believe in it. So the confidence in the US dollar is that, hey, the US government isn't going to mess things up. It's never defaulted. Actually, it's defaulted 5 times. You'd have to go look it up, but you can read the defaults. It's fascinating. They just gloss right over it, but they have defaulted on their own currency 5 times by saying, man, we messed up. Let's redo it. And Bitcoin, the confidence is, who backs it? Nobody. Just a virus on a computer, which again, because nobody can control it, the confidence is actually super high. Trust but verify, this is what that is. Okay, so these are the 10 characteristics of money. You can read books on this. They go through it. It's pretty cool. Go very in depth. Bitcoin satisfies everything better than gold or fiat currency or the dollar, right? So the one thing that it is scarce on is confidence because, hey, who is backing it? Well, it's trustless. It's verified. So nobody has to back it except you just have to want to use it. Interesting. I know this is a little segue, but it's fascinating to me. Right. CrossFit has the 10 general physical skills, right? So I just find it funny that there's all these corollary numbers and so forth. So CrossFit tries to help develop these principles. And this isn't just for CrossFit, this is everything. So you have cardiovascular respiratory endurance. Number 2 is stamina. 3, strength. 4, flexibility. 5, power, or the application of work, right? Speed, which is, well, anyway, I'll just read them. Coordination, agility, balance, and accuracy. So these are the things we try to develop, which is neurological adaptations. This is why CrossFit really dives deep into the idea of intensity because it builds these the fastest. Okay. So I think, what is a fiat currency? So some of you guys may have never heard that word before. I hadn't until I started getting into Bitcoin. So this is just a definition. I use Brave browser. It's supposed to be a little bit more secure. I don't know if it really is, but they say it is. It was on Joe Rogan, the guy who made it. So I was like, I'll give it a shot. Anyway, so the Brave query, so it's definitely not a Google search. It's a Brave search. But it says fiat currency is a government-issued currency that lacks intrinsic value and is established as a legal tender by government regulation. So basically, the government says it is money, and thus it is. So there is nothing that backs it. You can't eat it, so the utility of it goes down. But same with Bitcoin, it doesn't have a specific utility. It does work as a store of value better than the dollar because the dollar deflates. But fiat currency, which is what everybody's currency pretty much is these days, is just the government saying, hey, it's worth that because I said so. If you really, there are some like people denying service to others, like I'm not going to accept your business and your money, and they're going to court over that. I think it's more political about all this craziness that people fight over. But part of the reason you're supposed to be accepting that is the government said it's our money, you must accept it. Okay, so fiat currency. Interesting definition here in Wikipedia. Wikipedia obviously is not a great source of all things exactly factual. Anybody can go into Wikipedia and edit what's in there. Maybe it's a little harder now, but it used to be pretty easy. So Wikipedia talks about a currency, and it says a currency is a standardization of money. So it's weird that currency and money are not the same thing. I know, it's what? So go look those up. So currency is a money in any form, in use or circulation as a medium of exchange, for example, blank notes and coins. So in some countries, they would, like in Africa, they use glassed beads, right? So the weird part about those glass beads, it was hard for them to make, but when Europe found out, Europe was way ahead on their glass production, so they came down and flooded the market, bought all of their land, and messed them up before the Africa knew what was going on. And that is Ollie, our guard dog. He's guarding us. Usually he guards us from dry spots in the house, but now he's probably barking at a fly. Okay, so let me go back to that. A more general definition is that a currency is a system of money in common use with a specific environment over time, within a specific environment over time, especially for people in a nation state. So that's us. So we want to use this money here and now. Under this definition, the British pound, euros, the Japanese yen, the US dollar are examples of government-issued fiat currencies. Currencies may act as a store of value and be traded between nations. Okay, so let me go see what's up with him. And I'm back. That took me a while, and you guys don't even know that. I do find it fascinating, it's total tangent, that I can edit a video much easier, especially on my phone, than I can edit an audio file. So it's just so weird. Audio should be a whole lot easier, but doing the podcast like this where I'm on a video, I can go back and clip things out so much easier if I need to. And audio, I use Audacity. And at one point, we had we were trying to do a D&D podcast with my dad, then me, and then my kids. So it was 3 generations of McCanns. Maybe I'll grab one of those old episodes and throw it in here so you guys can listen to us play D&D something like 10 years ago. So I learned Audacity, and it was troublesome, to say the least. And it amazes me how easy it is to put together a video for YouTube these days. Okay, anyway, so there's currency. What was this question? So the US dollar is not backed by gold or any other precious metals, so we know that already. Well, maybe you should know that. Okay, so what backs Bitcoin? This is, so the search says Bitcoin is a decentralized digital currency that operates free of central control, which is the kind of the key thing. Nobody can mess with it. Nobody controls it. It's a virus on a computer. Or oversight of banks or governments, which really is the governments and banks hate this, because if you free the money, you free the world. We wouldn't have to pay attention to what they said. We could just transact in Bitcoin and they could do nothing about it. Of course, they would still find a way to throw taxes on everything, which is fine. I want to pay for roads. I mean, I don't want to pay for a lot of the stuff they make us pay for, but I do want to pay for roads and military and things like that. Actually, maybe not military. It'd be great to let trade rule the world, but whatever. I guess we saw what the Trade Federation did in Star Wars, didn't we? It does not have the backing of government authorities. And again, that is huge. Okay. This right here is the blockchain. You're like, what the heck is that? I'm going to go super high level. But what I've got right here is mempool.space pulled up. And there's a dotted line. On the right side is a block that the miners have solved the equation for. So this is their digging, if you will. And this block had, it posted 7 minutes ago. It had nearly 3,000 transactions in it. It contained 1.5 bytes, and the fees were something in the nature of 17 to 500. And so again, if you go back to the calculator, 17 satoshis is less than 0.0 pennies. So it's almost nothing, right? And then the blocks on the left side, these yellow ones, are blocks that are about to be solved. So it gives it about 10 minutes because it never really knows how, when the solution will be posted, but there's a difficulty regulator that helps the miners stay in sync, and there's a fee regulator that keeps people from doing stupid stuff. So right now, the reason there's so many blocks, if you look to the far left on this last block, it says there's 180 blocks that are waiting to go through. And that's because somebody is trying to put JPEGs through the Bitcoin chain. I don't know why. They just do stuff. But the cool thing is, if they are routing and they go through some nodes that you're using, or in this case, it's on chain. So if they are routing, the miners are making more money. If they were on the Lightning Network, then I would make more money. But anyway, so Bitcoin is it. So I would distinguish the cryptocurrencies like this. There is every other cryptocurrency out there, which I would not get involved in at all. Period. End of story. Never. And then there's Bitcoin. Yes, they both are digital types of currency, but Bitcoin is different in every way, mostly because it's a virus that was let loose. The reason that FTX blew up is because there was a guy leading it and he could just affect the sheets, right? And so they just made crap up and they faked all transactions and they just, they lied about everything because they're centralized control and, absolute power corrupts absolutely or something like that. They just, nobody realizes the power of the dark side until they get there. Okay, so this is this is not very good. I don't know why it's not updating. This is a graph or a geography representation of nodes, Bitcoin nodes that are out there, and it's bad. It doesn't look good. Let me go to the next one. Here you go. This is better. This is a 3D rendering of the Bitcoin nodes that are operating out there. So you can see a huge cluster, and then it goes way out to the edges. So it looks kind of like a galaxy exploding. It is very fascinating to see the interconnection between all these. I don't know what all the colors mean on it. It's a pretty cool graph. It's called bitnodes.io/node/network map. I'll put that in the show notes so you guys can see it. Anyway, it's just trying to say there are a ton of nodes out there, and let's move on. So, Bitcoin, should you own some? Sure, hedge your bets, right? Why not? Do you gold and silver? Should you own some? Sure, why not? It's a great store of value. Weirdly, I heard somebody say it, and I'm going to butcher this, but it's something like 500 years ago, an ounce of gold would buy you a suit and a sword. Today, an ounce of gold will buy you a suit and a gun. So it basically will buy you the same thing over 500 years. So its store value is huge. Okay, so we're moving on to the Lightning Network. So what is that and how is it? Oh, you know what I didn't cover? Let me back up one moment. So inside of Bitcoin, there's something called keys and wallets. So if you're going to buy Bitcoin, you want to hold your own keys. If you don't know what that means, you can Google it, you can look it up, but it's not that difficult. You will want some sort of wallet. There's a hot wallet, which you put like loose change into. Yeah, it is possible. Someone could pick your pocket. Someone could steal your money out of your hot wallet. You use it for like small change, right? And then they've got cold storage or a cold wallet, which is air gapped, or it's just nearly impossible to get stuff out unless you're an idiot and give it to people, which you could do that, right? How many people have gotten that email? There's a diamond mine here, just send us $10,000. So you could just give your money to people like an idiot. Don't do that. Lightning Network has the same things. There are hard wallets or hot wallets and cold wallets. And it's like if you have a wallet on your phone, I would consider that like change on your billfold. So I've got a Ridge wallet and there's a little clip and I usually keep like, I don't know, $40 to $60 on it. And if it dropped out, I would be like, damn it. And I'd try to go find it and I want that money. But if I had $1 clip to it and I dropped $1, I just wouldn't care. I'd be like, whatever, it's just $1. So I mean, I'd care a little bit because, yeah, that's me. But I probably wouldn't stress out. I'd be like, I don't know, whatever. Someone's going to get a freebie. Hope I make them smile, right? Same thing in a hot wallet. If something messes up, I don't know, there's only $20 in there or whatever. I wouldn't put like, $100,000 on a hot wallet. That's just dumb. Just like, taping money to your car as you drive around is dumb. Just don't do dumb things. So you can investigate that. If you're only going to buy something like $20 of Bitcoin, so that would be in Satoshis, then it doesn't matter where you buy it. Just buy it and put it on, have it on somebody's service like Coinbase or whatever, or Swan, which is a great one. Just have it there. And yeah, they've got your keys, but it's $20. So what? When FTX went out of business, they had people's keys because people didn't pull it off their server. And they just said, yeah, whatever, we're out of business. We're just keeping everything. Which to a $20 person isn't a big deal. To somebody who had $200,000 of Bitcoin, that's a big deal. So anyway, keys are important and a wallet's important. I'm not going to cover much of that, just to let you know that it is something you want to investigate. Okay, so the Lightning Network. What the Lightning Network does is it allows you to interact with Bitcoin at a faster faster speed, more transactions. So the problem, let me go back to this mempool.space. So the problem with Bitcoin is, not the problem, a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is anybody could run a node on a laptop, and that's the way it was designed. So it's very, it's not heavy in terms of processing power. If you think of Visa, they have buildings that are dedicated to supercomputers with massive air conditioning units to process all of the transactions they do. These laptops we have don't do that. They'll never do that. But something like the Lightning Network allows us to get closer to that. And the Lightning Network, you can think of it as like a credit card or a Venmo. And it allows you to use Bitcoin, but instead of on that blockchain, it's off the blockchain. And then it settles back into the blockchain. I know, it's kind of weird. Imagine yourself, you're at a bar and you open a tab. That is the Lightning Network. Yes, you will be paying in US dollars, but not yet. What are you paying in? A contract with the bartender, right? So he keeps going, drink money, drink money, right? So every time you order, he puts it into your tab. And then later on, you're like, okay, let's close out this tab. And he charges you everything you're supposed to be charged. Rather than doing a credit card swipe every time, he just has to bill you out the one time. And that really is the idea of the Lightning Network. There's some more nuances, but basically that's it. The Lightning Network sits on top of the Bitcoin network, allowing you to do transactions a little bit easier. Okay, so a way to think of that is credit card is a piece of plastic, credit system that sits on top of your dollars. So when I go to Outspoken Bikes to buy a bicycle, and he says, hey, the bike is $2,000. You don't have $2,000 on you. I mean, if you're carrying $2,000 around with you, then you're dumb. Don't do that. You want to put it somewhere, like your credit card, right? So it's credit, and then I'm going to go from bank to credit and pay it myself, right? So I take the credit card out, and I go, here is my swipe. So the credit card is just a layer 2 technology, or a layer above, or a technology above that uses the dollar network, but doesn't let you use dollars. And then you're going to rectify it when you pay your credit card fee later on. That's exactly the same thing, right? So your credit card opens a tab, and every month you have to pay. That's exactly what the tab is at the bar, or the tab is with Lightning Network, okay? So let me read this off to you. So Lightning Network, so it links main blockchain networks such as Bitcoin and the Lightning Network itself. So, well, that's a node, sorry. So, and you can run a node, be part of the Lightning Network node, and this is where you can make money becoming basically a small bank or credit card processor yourself, just helping people move money. Actually, there's a really cool, those marbles that they do in science class that drop. Let me see if I can find that. Okay, I found it. It stinks not having the right word for it. So they call it a Power TRC Newton's Cradle Balance Balls. So it is that there's like 5 balls that are suspended by a chain, and then you pick one up and let it go. And then it hits the next one, and that force is transmitted to the last one, and the last one moves up. And this will sort of represent what's happening in the processing payment of a Lightning transaction. So Timmy is the last ball, and he drops it, and he pays with his Lightning wallet card, whatever, and or app on his phone. It hits my node, then connects to like Frankie's node, who connects to Jimmy's node, who says I am connected to the last guy that he's trying to pay, Sammy or whatever, and then he pays him. Right? So it's like using Venmo. Hey, we're all on Venmo. Great, let's use Venmo. Venmo just uses a Excel spreadsheet to move the money around. I'm going to show you that in a second. And who owns that money? Venmo. If they shut down, they have your money. On Bitcoin and the Lightning Network, you have the money. So it's as if, so this is why when gold failed because it's hard to move, dollar fails because it's hard to move. We're in the information age. Let's move the money as fast as information will move. So I can take the value of the Bitcoin through the Lightning Network and go person, final destination. Now, every person is going to pull out some sort of fee for doing that, and the fee is something like a penny, right? So it's super low because it's the year 2023, and it doesn't cost that much to move money around. So the reason credit cards still cost a lot is they're moving on the old rails of the banking system, which costs a lot of money. So anyway, let me get back to where I was. Let's see, Lightning Network. Okay, so Venmo. So Venmo is an example. Venmo is a system riding on top of the US dollar, or any currency really, and they are a centralized platform. So Venmo and Bitcoin, Venmo to the US dollar is the same as the Lightning Network to Bitcoin. So or you could say PayPal, right? Same sort of thing. So what they do, I got a little Excel spreadsheet up here, a Google Doc, and I've got clients on the left. On column A, B is the amount of US dollars they decided to put into, and let's just call it Venmo. Column C is the Venmo coin, and then there's the action, what I'm going to do, and the result and the money. Okay, so Andy, I said that I put $1,000 of US dollars in there, and that converts to 1,000 Venmo coins. Yeah, they don't call it that, but you better bet they have your money and they're doing something with it. And if I pay somebody, let's call it on chain or in the Venmo network. So let's say Timmy has Venmo and he says, hey, Andy, you owe me 20 bucks. So I'm going to do negative, as the action, negative $20 for me and then plus $20 for him. That's all Venmo does. They don't actually move any money. You don't have any more money. It's just a big spreadsheet. Well, it's not, it's a database, and they're just tallying it. This is why they can do transactions inside of their own network for free, because it's just moving data points on a spreadsheet. When you try to get in or out of their network, they may actually charge you. So it could be something like when you put US dollars in, then they charge you like, I don't know, 20 bucks or something. Now, what they typically do is they say, hey, if you want to get your money out in 5 days, it's free. If you want to do it now, it's like 20 bucks. And that's where they're collecting a little bit more fees. So let's say Tommy wants some money from me too. So now I'm going to say I have that negative 20 plus a negative 20. So I'm going to say negative 40. And then I'm going to put a plus 20 in Tommy. And that's all they do, right? So now they've gone up in denomination in money, and I've gone down. So there's no real cost. There's no charge. There's no change in the Venmo total. They're just holding that cash. They still have your money. That is key. They're holding it. If Venmo decided, I'm going out of business, this is not FDIC insured. They're out, and you lose whatever money you have in Venmo. That's it, period, bye. Whoops, it's gone. That's like them holding your keys for Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, you want to pull that money out, or the Lightning Network, right? It moves money along like this in the sense that there are other nodes passing money that are known and trusted, right? Now the trust may not be there. So I'm in Woodstock. If you're in Woodstock and you want to be part of the Lightning Network, I have a node called Woodstock GA. Does it matter where the node is or how you connect? No, it does not. But I just thought it was neat to be, if I'm going to start Bitcoin Beach here in Woodstock somehow one day, then I should probably have a node called Woodstock, Georgia. So you can connect to that node, or when a business is connected to that node, they will pay through me to get to whoever they're paying, right? And so that user, let's say Timmy, goes to Outspoken. They don't have a connection. They didn't go into the network and set it up. And it's not that hard to set up, but it is kind of weird. So they didn't take the time to do that. You don't know how Venmo does what it does, but it works. You just scan a QR code and you say, yes, I approve it. That's exactly the way the Lightning Network works, or Bitcoin. You just scan a code and you say, yeah, I'm good to pay that. On the vendor or merchant side, the reason we love it is it's the fees on it are 1 penny. That's it, or something like that. It could be even less than a penny because it's in Satoshis. On the person's side, it's a little, you have to put money into it, just like you have to put money into Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App, or you could connect your credit card. Once you connect your credit card to Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, whatever, there is the fees that you're going to have to pay. And usually the merchant or the vendor gets nailed with the fees. You don't, which is sad because vendors need it, but whatever. Okay, so there is a company called, a website called Lightning Networks Plus, and they allow you to find other people to swap with. So this is my node on their, my details on their network. So you would use this if you were setting up your own node. Nobody else has to do this. It's just if you were creating a node, you would use these public keys or a Tor address. Tor is just a kind of anonymous web browsing. Anyway, you would use those to connect. So an example is people post things like, hey, I want to do right here I'm looking at a pentagon shape. So they're looking for 5 people that want to create a routing hub, if you will. So if I click on it, it says, hey, wood drop, and this public key, I don't know, it's 03B, want to get set up. They're doing, hey, join us, throw in 1 million Satoshis. So if we go way back to 1 million Satoshis, I think it's like $50 or maybe $5. So it's not much. Most of this is kind of tip based more than it is I'm buying a car based. Because it's just normal people. But if enough normal people put it together, like, yeah, we got like all put $5 into it, then yes, we can all render that service, even though it gets divided up by everybody, right? So you can find people to connect with. I've done this a lot. I've tried to connect with a bunch of people. If you buy Bitcoin early, way early, then, 3 Bitcoin 10 years ago isn't much money. I think it's like $1,000. But 3 Bitcoin now is like $60,000. So it's interesting to see who got started early and didn't or whatever. And you can see kind of what they're doing with their Bitcoin. Most likely nobody is buying 3 Bitcoin right now. That's, maybe not nobody. You have to be pretty rich to do that. It's people that are helping promote the network that started in this a long time ago. So I was just fortunate way back then. My brother mentioned it, and my brother has a history of mentioning cool things that then take off. So I was like, whatever, I'll try to get into it. So anyway, so the next thing you could do is they have other ways to create networks, something called the Ring of Fire. It's just kind of funny. But anyway, so Lightning Network is just an easier way to pay in Bitcoin. If anybody is listening to this and you want help, man, I am here to help you. If you are a member at our gym and you want to pay in Bitcoin or over the Lightning Network, let me know. We already had one of our members do that. I wanted to try it out, and she's like, yeah, let's figure this thing out. And she ended up paying for some of her membership because, again, Satoshis don't equate exactly. She paid for some of her membership in Satoshis, and that was really cool. So our gym, CrossFit Garage, has accepted some Satoshis, and I don't remember how much it was. It was probably only like $5 worth of Satoshis, but it was still neat. Okay, so that is the Lightning Network. Bitcoin is the money or the currency. Lightning Network is like a credit card, and you can be that yourself. You can actually get involved as a person and be part of the processing and earn some Satoshis. All right. The last thing we're going to cover is Nostr and what it is and what it does for you. So, if you remember, people getting in that time when we were all sent home for quite some time, people got deplatformed. Nostr stands for Notes and Other Stuff Over Relay. And what it does is takes away the ability for anybody to ever deplatform you. It also gives you control of your content. So if, I don't know, Facebook just said, we're done, and they turned their stuff off, everything you put in there would be gone. That's it, right? So it's a platform. It's a protocol. Sorry, it is a protocol, not a platform. So it is a protocol, not a platform. And what I mean by that is this. If you go back to right here, yep. So a podcast is an RSS feed that I will take this data and upload it. I will upload it in as an audio only into the RSS feed, and then as a protocol, these platforms. So I'm looking at our Buzzsprout page. So these platforms: Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Overcast, Alexa, TuneIn, Castro, Podchaser. All these guys are applications, are pieces of software that then take that protocol and display it however they want. So the Apple Podcast, let me just pull this up. So the Apple Podcast pulls up the data differently. So here's what it looks like in Apple Podcast. Well, if you're watching this. And then you can imagine if you pull it up in Spotify, it looks different. Similar-ish, but it's still different. So they can choose to display that protocol in whatever way they want. Okay, so if I were to take a tweet, so here's Twitter, right? It looks like this. It looks, if you've seen it, I don't use Twitter, but it's got some text. You can put the link in there and it shows a video. Right now it's sitting on Elon Musk. Hey, I guess he uses this. I don't know. Oh, it's true. He owns it. So of course he uses it. If you go to Nostr, so here's it is defined. I should have put this first. A decentralized social network with a chance of working. So anyway, so an open protocol. So if you were in Twitter and you posted something, it is not going to show up in Instagram. Why? It's a different platform with different protocols. So here is Evie and I dancing. Now remember that Facebook bought Instagram or vice versa or whatever, and so they're owned by each other. And if you post something on Instagram, now it'll actually show up in Facebook. So they've taken their platforms and normalized the protocol so that you can post in one and it'll show up in the other. Okay. So that doesn't happen on anything else. So if you're on Truth Network or, I don't know, any of the other social networks, that doesn't work. It's their own protocol. It's their own platform. Nostr is a protocol. So here I am in Iris. It is a platform. It is a software tool that displays Nostr. So here's Nostr. I clicked on Grow Nostr, so there's a whole bunch of stuff here in Grow Nostr, and so you can kind of cruise through that and just read some things, right? So it's just a tag that I use, or that people use to find other interesting people. This is my Nostr account. So I posted something so that you guys could see it. It says, so the background is black, and it's got a picture of Olivia and Evie at the Great Wolf Lodge, and it says, put down the phone and hit something fun like the Great Wolf Lodge, right? So there it is. Right below that, there's the video from YouTube. So it's just a link that is posted here, and it shows Evie and I dancing. So this is Iris showing a Twitter look, right, for this platform called Nostr. I posted it in one place, and poof, it popped up in another Nostr platform called Snort. I know, weird name. I don't know why they call it that. That's just what they call it. So let me see if I can actually find my own post. It's not working correctly. So this is very alpha. It doesn't always show up regularly. So it's over relays. So they're volunteers like me who are allowing people to post and repost. And my example has gone to poop because it's not letting me click on my own name to show you. Let me pause this and fix it. Okay, I'm going to try to fix this by, I did hashtags, Grow Nostr and Great Wolf Lodge and Road Trip. So I'm going to highlight this, copy and paste it. So I'm going to click on Great Wolf Lodge. Yeah, I figured there's probably only one. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to just go to regular old Snort. And I want to find Great Wolf Lodge, and let's see if it pulls up. There we go. So on Snort, here is the same. Why they call it Snort, I don't know. People always pick weird names, and Snort just sounds weird. So, but this is a white background, and it looks pretty much exactly the same. It's a little different, but yeah, I mean, here it is, right? So if you look at the bottom of these, well, those that can see it, there is, let me go back over here. I like Iris's better. You have the ability to comment. You have the ability to repost. And you have the ability to put likes or hearts. And the most incredible thing is you have the ability for micropayments. So if you go way back and remember that a Satoshi or a Bitcoin is divided into 100 million Satoshis. So if I like this, I can actually tip somebody. So let me find somebody that did something cool. Here is Feral Fowl Farm. So he's making mushrooms. I don't know what he's doing, but just to show what's going on here, I am going to tip him. So I'm going to click this lightning button. Lightning Network, right? It's gonna pull up my GetAlby, my Alby Chrome extension. I'm gonna tell him, hey, I want to tip him 50 Satoshis. I'm gonna hit confirm, hit send, and then I say pay now. Poof! I have now paid him 0.01 cents, or no, yeah, 1 cent or something less than that, right? So it now allows me to say, hey, I liked your content, and I'm just gonna type in right here. I liked this and zapped you and am adding you to my podcast YouTube episode. Sure, episode. See, you guys are seeing me type in real time. This is my problem with the English language and dyslexia. I am horrible with all that. So anyway, so he'll see me. I'm probably friends with him. Let me go see. Nope, I'm not following him. So I'm going to go ahead and click follow. And now I'm following this chicken guy. So anyway, this is brand new. Not many people are, well, I say not many people, a lot of people are using it, but you're kind of nerdy like me, or you're into the bleeding edge. I think in 10 years, this platform, Nostr, will be the only thing that exists because it's free the money, free the world, free the social media, free the world. So maybe not the only one that exists, but it'll gain so much notoriety from people who want to be free. It'll probably take over everything. You'll probably see other things, other services like Facebook, like click to populate Nostr, because they could do that. They could take the Nostr feed and put it in their Facebook format, or Instagram could say, yeah, just click here if you want Nostr to show up. It is a unowned protocol, right? Just like email, just like the RSS feed. It's just a protocol. Somebody put out a white paper and said, this is how it works. Okay, so what else do I have on here for you? So something that this whole network stuff allows is you can listen to podcasts like this one on a podcast 2.0 platform like Fountain. So you can download Fountain on your phone and listen to it. Content creators like me could pay you to listen to their show, or Fountain will pay you to listen to their show And you then can also tip the producer or the creator of the show. So you could say, hey, Andy, this episode is pretty cool. I have a general understanding of what's happening. Thank you so much. Here's $1. If you used your credit card, that dollar would cost $3. It stinks. I hate it. If you use Venmo and you're like, I put my Venmo in there, then yeah, it's just Venmo. I have to have Venmo. You have to have Venmo. And it just translates the sheet and that's all they do. So it's free. But, here's the example of the Lightning Network. I forgot to show you that. So this is, and it's not everybody, but it shows you some connections around the world. It's kind of neat. It's not all of them. There's a lot of connections. I guess it would be super like tied up. I think this is just the most popular connections. Okay, so let me move on, get through some of this other information that I got a lot of my details and learning from this guy, Jack Spirko, who does the survival podcast. And it's not zombies and apocalypse. It's basically, live a good life, get out of debt, farm, empower yourself. Don't rely on your other systems. This guy is great. He's got another show called Bitcoin Breakout, and it's taught me or got me interested in a lot of these things. He also introduced me to the Start9 company. So Start9 has something called the MC Pro, which is basically, do I have a picture of it? It is, let's see. Oh, no, that's there. Oh, here we go. No, there it is. So MC Pro is a little computer, Raspberry Pi looking thing that is a server, and it just makes it really easy to get involved in all of this. No, I don't. Well, there it is. It's a very small box. I'd say it's the size of, what would be the size of a small novel, right? So, or it looks like the Gideon's Bible that you'd find in a hotel. It's about that big. How about that? So you can get one of those. If you sign up here as a member for the Member Support Brigade on the Survival Network or the Survival Podcast, which will cost you about like $30, $50, something like that, it'll get you a 9% discount. And that 9% discount, this item is about $1,200. So that's going to give you $100 off. So it's kind of worth getting one for the other. And there's other discounts if you're into that idea of just being prepared and whatnot. So bulk ammo, if you like to shoot, whatever. They got lots of discounts in here. It's pretty cool stuff. He introduced me to Jesse from Your Personal Crypto Assistant, and I hired him to work with me to help me understand Bitcoin and the Lightning Network to get myself up and running as a very small, inconsequential node, but yet I am up. So I'm making progress in this crazy world. He and I have also talked a little bit about Nostr. Just a great guy. If you're wanting to understand and get involved, you can hire him, and he is well worth the money. As I've always said, if you want to shortcut the process, hire a mentor or a coach. What did I put up here? Oh, so I mentioned processing fees and credit cards. As a user, you probably don't even really realize that you're paying those fees. Okay, so if you have a card that gives you 3% back on everything, where do you think that 3% comes from? Yes, they do funny stuff with your money, but I'm also paying 3% plus to let you use your credit card. So I actually couldn't get a great answer on searches for what and why people pay. So I went to Chat GPT and I asked it the question. I'm going to read you some of its answers. Pretty interesting. But you're going to pay some fees. So there's these are your fees that I'm looking at a website now that just talks about your fees. It's not the one that I really wanted to show you. What I wanted to show you was that like here, so processing fees for merchants. So they're like, hey, these are the average, and you have to be really big to be on the low side. If you're a tiny guy like me, then you pay on the high side and even more. So American Express 3.5%, Discover 2.5, MasterCard 2.6, Visa 2.5, and that's just the part of the fee. There's a one-time use, like we sell dollar or bottles of water at the gym for $1, and you're like, man, you're making a killing on these because I know you can pay $5 for a case, and then you sell those 24 bottles, and you're just making a killing. So let me back that out. When we swipe your card for $1, I pay 30 cents on every single transaction. So the card getting swiped is 30 cents. There's a set fee. Then there's the 4% on whatever it is I just charged, right? And then there's the daily use fee. So they just say, hey, you used your card today, whether it was for one thing or a million things, we don't care. I'm going to pay a fee on that. And then there's the monthly fee. So I'm going to pay a fee. Hey, you used your card this month. I don't know. They just have all these fees. So that dollar water probably gives me 10 cents in actual profit. Yes, that's it. So you're like, wow, I thought you'd make more on $1 water. Nope. And now if we did a cash jar, yeah, that'd be great. I'd make, better because it's cash, right? But to allow credit cards to be used to buy a bottle of water, yeah, it's like 10 cents, something stupid. So we don't do it to make money. We do it because people want water, bottled water, even though there's like tap water right there, or you could just bring your own water, which is, I own the place and I bring my own water. But all right, so this is interesting. So if you decide to accept credit card payments as a business, you'll quickly realize there are many merchant providers out there and they all charge differently. Unlike overhead expenses such as rent or supplies, credit card processing fees are more complicated to predict and understand. Ain't that the truth? Because of this, there are various pricing models. Because I'm the small guy, I'm charged a lot. So what are merchant fees? If you accept credit card payments, you'll be subjected to all these fees. Each credit card has different fees. So anyway, I can link that page if you want. It's just an information page on what you're paying. So I thought this one is pretty interesting. It says for a small business, $10,000 to $250,000 in annual credit card transactions, which will fall into that. The average cost of processing these payments is, on the low side, 2.8%. On the high side, 4.35%. We're actually higher than that because we are smaller. They don't give us. We do bulk like memberships at the beginning and then randoms, and so they don't like that. So we fall in there. We don't really want your business, and we'll just take it because whatever. And so it's more like 5% for us. Yay! With all the other fees added up. And then even there says, however, additional fees could be charged to make your rates higher. And yes, that's us. So yay. Let's see. I did want to. I think I tried to. I already showed you this. The countries that are accepting Bitcoin as legal tender or moving their currency to be backed by Bitcoin or just getting rid of their currency altogether. Okay, so that is pretty much all. Oh no, I wanted to read you the ChatGPT thing. So let me read you this. This is pretty interesting. So I asked ChatGPT. I said, why do vendors pay credit card fees? He said vendors or merchants pay these credit card fees because there is a complex network of intermediaries. Like, okay, define for me. I asked it, explain the complex network of intermediaries. Like, sure, here it is. So, number one is the customer. 2 is the merchant submits the transaction. 3, the payment processor or acquiring bank forwards that transaction detail to a place like Visa, MasterCard, or American Express. The card issuer checks that it can be approved, right? It looks at your bank account. So weirdly, when you use your credit card, we don't actually get your money. It takes like 3 or 4 days for them actually to figure it out, but they use trust in the fact that Visa will pay it, and then you'll pay them. Anyway, then the transaction is approved and moves through the network. So then I said, let me find the right thing. Hold on. Okay. Then I asked it, I said, can you tell me some of the company names that are part of these processes? So credit card companies, you guys know these, right? So Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover, they're all taking a cut because of what they do. So yes, we pay them to make it work. I get it. But what people forget is it's the year 2023. We don't have to use that. We could use the Lightning Network, which instead of paying 5%, I'm paying 1 penny. That's it. And so it'll take our fees from $15,000 a year to like $150 a year if everyone moved to it. So 2 payment processor companies are PayPal, Square, Stripe, Authorize.net. So we used to use Authorize.net or Go eMerchant. Acquiring banks would be American Merchant Services, Chase Payment Tech, First Data. So we also use First Data. I have a login to them. Issuing banks, for example, could be Citibank, Wells Fargo, Capital One. Then you've got fraud detection. So Count and Forder and Signify. Then you have data security companies that are going to touch this. So CyberSource, Braintree, Shift4. And then it says, these are just examples. There's more. So everyone touches this stuff. Why? I guess they had to. They built what they had to. But there is another way. Free the money, free the world, right? This is part of it. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you're thinking to yourself, wow, that is weird and interesting. I didn't know there was so much to it. Is it easy? Actually, the answer is yes. You can get on Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, and just say, can I buy Bitcoin? And just buy it from your own wallet right there. And you don't have Bitcoin. You probably have to, I think Cash App and Strike with a K, Strike, are the most user-friendly and actually spending the Bitcoin. So I bought some in PayPal and Venmo just to see how it worked, and it's there. I can't spend it. They're just holding like, I don't know, like $10 worth of Bitcoin. So it's inconsequential, so I'm just letting it sit there, but I wanted to see how it worked. If you want to actually use it, you'll have to like get a wallet and fund it. So you could get Wallet of Satoshi. Satoshi, again, is just the name of the guy who put this all together, but it's a pseudonym. So people use that name a lot. Or Nakamoto, which they don't really use that. They use Satoshi. But Wallet Satoshi is a good one. Or there's the Breeze wallet. And they're really easy to use. You basically, if you're on your phone, you just download the app and then connect it to some way to fund it, get money in there, and then it converts. You'll say, hey, now it's Bitcoin. Now I have Bitcoin on the Lightning Network to pay for it. If you want to try this stuff, let me know. Actually, you know what I'll do is I'll post my Albi extension, and you can either click the QR code or scan it, or you can, I don't know, whatever, and you can tip me from this, right? Or you can just see if it's working. I'm happy to accept your 1 penny of Satoshis to help you get started in this. Anyway, if you have questions, I'm always here, happy to help. If this is the year 2024 and you're listening to this episode, I may not be able to help. Hopefully, we've got so many people that I can't help, but I will try. All right, guys. I am signing off, and remember, you have some cool episodes coming up. How to be an entrepreneur in the rental market. My idea is low debt, and my buddy's idea is leverage. So you're going to hear 2 different examples, and then you also have another entrepreneur from our gym coming up soon as well. All right, guys, you take care. Keep living that good life.